Hey y'all, it's Dr. Shamanda. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things mental health, personal finance, and overall strategies to live your best life. Alright guys, welcome back. Welcome to day 3 of 28. This is a 28-day money education challenge where I am answering questions or sharing my thoughts around money anxiety, life transitions, anything you can kind of think of over the next 28 days, and specifically from the perspective of a licensed therapist. All right, now, disclaimer again, I am not your therapist here, right? I am not an expert on money. I am not a financial advisor, none of that good stuff. But I am someone who has gone from A to at least halfway through the alphabet. And so I've learned quite a few things. And I have worked almost 2 decades in the field of mental health, behavioral health, addictions. And I've worked with plenty of clients who struggle with money, anxiety, and depression, or just things that are related to money, right? And everything is related to money. I don't care what you say. Seriously. So I love to use this channel to talk about my own journey around finances, but also share some education and tips and strategies with you guys. All right. So today we are talking about why high achievers struggle financially. Yeah. And I thought this is a very interesting topic because I am definitely someone most people would consider a high achiever. I mean, I went from a high school dropout to PhD, single mom, to now my children, by the end of this month, God willing, my daughter will be 18 and my son will be 19. So I've raised 2 children alone as a single mom. And while also, getting all these degrees and, these certifications, education, licenses, building multiple businesses, releasing a movie, a book, yeah, so pretty much definitely a high achiever. So I can speak from a personal perspective, but also from years and years and years of working with people who, struggle with issues around this. All right, so let's talk about this. Now, stay with me because I promise these videos are going to be 8 to 10 minutes long, no more than that, okay? And if you haven't already, go back and check out day 1 and day 2, all right? All right, so number 1 is, let's talk about why high achievers tie money to their worth. So most people who are high achievers connect money to safety. We talked a little bit about that in day 2, I believe, where having money, and this is for a lot of other people too, regular people, right? Well, I said regular people, y'all know what I mean. Money is affiliated with safety and success, or success becomes safety. Let's say it that way. Because if you're successful, meaning you're able to make money and lots of it, more than likely you have more money, right, or you feel more safer. I'll put it that way. And safety is tied to the whole thing of your basic needs, right? You can pay for housing, food, water, shelter, clothing. You can help other people. So for most high achievers, the reason why the success equals safety, and that's connected to money, is because the more money you have, the more you feel successful and the more you're able to help and do things and take care of yourself and probably all the people around you too. So that is a problem. It can be a problem or problematic because that can be exhausting. Because when does it stop, right? How much is too much money? Okay, so you have to ask yourself, what's the end point? Okay, now number 2, I want to talk about how perfectionism creates this financial pressure, right? So most people who are high achievers, we strive for excellence, baby. Excellence. We don't want to do anything half, you know what I'm saying? And because that's where we get our sense of value and sense of worth, which I don't think is good, but it's just the reality, right? It's like when we do a project or write or create some type of art, or if we created a YouTube channel or recreated an Instagram profile, something small, whatever, it doesn't even matter what it is, we want to do it to the highest standard because that's the standard that we hold for ourselves. Now, where that comes from, there's a whole conversation that I definitely recommend working with your therapist on. But at the end of the day, that level of perfectionism that comes from high achievers typically creates financial pressure, right? And with that could lead to a lot of mistakes and poor choices, which leads to poor consequences, right? And when it comes to dealing with those things, you know what I'm going to say, we will avoid them. We'll avoid those things. So I want to give some examples, but I don't want to go too deep into this. But it might be, for example, buying your house or the college that you chose. Like, while we're trying to achieve and make some next level choices or decisions, maybe we rush into them, right? Or whatever. So there's different situations, but just know that perfectionism can lead to financial pressure for high achievers. Number 3, I want to talk about how overworking can be somewhat of a coping strategy for people who are high achievers. Y'all, if you've been on my channel, especially last year, your girl was working hard. And I don't say that with a badge of honor, because to me it wasn't. And it wasn't until I really stopped and really thought about what I was doing that I realized, like, okay, you're tired, you're exhausted, like, you're overworking yourself, you're doing too much, all because you want to hit this goal in this amount of time. And who told you to set the timeline here? But that's the high achiever in me, right? And it's easy to see things in other people, let's be for real, right? We're all like this to some degree. But sometimes it takes a moment for me to see to myself, like, okay, yep, you're doing that thing again. So I just want you to think about that. If you notice that you are overworking yourself or you're pushing yourself to the limit, just know that might be how you're coping with the financial stressors or whatever, right? Sometimes working harder actually feels safer than actually slowing down, because that working hard is keeping you busy. It's keeping your mind focused on something versus stopping to really think about what you're doing or process your thoughts and what's going on around you, okay? So just be mindful of that. All right, number 4 is, and I'm looking at my notes here, guys. Doing well in life doesn't always calm down our anxiety. And I know that sounds kind of counterproductive, right? But it's true, right? Honestly, the more successful we become sometimes as high achievers, the more stressed we become. Because again, now there's this another level, another standard that we've set for ourselves. Or, higher standard that we got to live up to. It's like, if we buy this huge house, now we got to work hard to maintain it. If we buy this fancy car, now we got to work hard to maintain it, right? Because we can't lose it, because guess what? People are going to look at us. And if they're looking, guess what? Maybe with their motivation. What if we are the person that made it out and we don't want to fail, because then who do people have to look up to? Like, there's so much pressure that we can put on ourselves as high achievers. That's crazy, because get somebody else to do it. Why I got to be the one to motivate you? You know what I'm saying? But most of the time we do not look at it that way. So, just know that we will typically, once we're doing well, just keep working harder to build more and more. Like, the bar just keeps rising and it keeps moving, right? And so just be mindful of that. I will tell you, for me, like, y'all saw this in real time. I put my goal at 50K last year for investments. And before I knew it, I was like, okay, 55. Okay, no, let's focus on the 100K. Girl, chill. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I talk to myself, and that's how I would talk to anybody I'm coaching, because sometimes we can't see it, but it's something to be very mindful of. All right, so the last thing I want to say is that it's so important that we separate our identity, our personal identity, from our income and our input, right, or output, right? So separating who we are, our personal identities, ourselves, from the amount of money we make or how much we spend, whatever. Like, those things are separate. I am not my investment amount. I am not the equity in my house. I am not the car that I drive. I am not my degrees, right? And so I want you to ask yourself and say that to yourself too. Like, you're not, those things are separate. Those are just things you obtain and acquire and accomplish, but they do not define you. And anybody in your life that triggers you or makes you feel that way, you might want to evaluate those people, okay? Anyway, I hope this was helpful. If you're a high achiever, I'm working with high achievers, specifically women. I will leave my link in my description if you want to work with me one-on-one. I'm doing coaching and therapy for those who are in North Carolina. I'm so excited to continue this journey in this series, and I will see you guys in day 4. And if you haven't already, catch day 1 and 2. All right, see you guys next time. Bye.